Veronica, good to see you.
Thank you.
You went to see the king this time around.
But it's good to be here again. And like we have rightly pointed out, today we are focusing on the president, his administration, 2 years midterm review, which has begun even before today, because today marks his 2 years in office. And so a lot of conversations have been going on about his achievements or otherwise regarding that. But let's begin with this story where leaders from at least 15 African countries converged on Lagos State to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Economic Community of West African States. General Yakubu Gowon joined President Bola Tinubu and other dignitaries to reflect on the journey and development of the regional bloc in the 50 years of its existence. State House correspondent Femi Akonde has details in this report.
50 years after a treaty for regional cooperation was signed, ECOWAS leaders returned to where it all started. It was nostalgic, particularly for General Yakubu Gowon, who is the last of the founding fathers alive. This was an event to also reflect on the journey of regional cooperation and re-strategize on setting realistic goals for the future.
The post-Cold War era is over. New divisions are emerging. Technology is advancing at an extraordinary unfiltered data, unregulated cryptocurrency, AI, climate change, organized crime, cyber slavery, and human trafficking and violent extremism.
Today, we have gathered here to celebrate 5 decades of regional solidarity, of standing side by side through times of hope and hardship, of building the most integrated regional economic community on the African continent. Today, ECOWAS represents more than an institution. It is a symbol of the enduring aspiration of over 400 million citizens.
President Bola Tinubu, as chairman of the authority of ECOWAS heads of government, declared his commitment to the ideals and philosophies of ECOWAS founding fathers.
We are embracing innovation to drive growth from internet exchanges, platforms like ECOGO, which strengthen gender reporting and regional accountability. Despite our progress, challenges remain. Our greatest task now is implementation. We are lagging behind on implementation. And I urge all member states to match policy with action.
General Yakubu Gowon still has fond memories of the 1975 ECOWAS Treaty. He acknowledged the resilience and unity of the regional bloc.
I can assure you this was the view since when we started it. Yes, there are military, there are other democratic government, but the military are making sure that we do things democratically, but militarily democratic.
50 years after the ECOWAS Treaty was signed by 15 countries, 3 countries have opted out of the regional bloc due to political disagreements. Beyond commemorating a treaty that was signed in 1975 establishing ECOWAS, there are deeper issues now affecting the regional bloc, such as poor education, healthcare, insecurity, and the big elephant in the room, which is unconstitutional takeover of government. The regional bloc will have to deal with these issues affecting cooperation and integration in West Africa. Femi Akonde, TVC News, Lagos.
All right, and it's good to see that these countries have shown their recommitment to the treaty that founded ECOWAS in that year in 1955 or 75, as the case may be. But let me begin with you, Etoma, with regards to seeing Yakubu Gowon there still talking about this matter, and then the fact that he is the last man standing, because a number of them who were part of those that signed the treaty are dead, but he is still alive to witness the 50 years of ECOWAS, and he talked about how important democracy is for our countries.
The funny thing was that he was wearing a uniform at that time.
But right now, he's speaking about democracy.
And democracy was the thing in front of them. You know, I want to put myself in his position. He must be feeling very lonely. You know, when things like this happen, he will remember the people he was with, the circumstances that even brought the whole stuff together, and his role, the other person's role, and this other person's role, and now they are all gone. He's the only one there. And I must say that ECOWAS is lucky to have had him there physically to tell them about the genesis of the whole thing. And let me digress a little bit. When Mr. President Bola Tinubu said that policies have been put together and that the nation's problem was implementation, I was so happy. I was really happy, because you know that on this table we've talked about implementation being the issue so many times. I'm happy Mr. President knows that and re-emphasized that.
Interesting, Uncle Sam, this matter of implementation being raised by the president, so much have been said regards policies, but why is it too difficult to implement? Recall that some days ago when you were here behind the scene, we were talking about the issues that we face, especially this matter of free movement and insecurity, how they would look at that, if that would be even part of their conversation. And obviously there are issues of policies around that, but implementation is still a major challenge.
Well, it is the strain of community. Community is not always cohesive. And you know that this is an association of nations, and in the final analysis, you answer your father's name. So what is happening is that while we are living in a community, there is nationalist instinct, there is nationalist hubris, there is nationalist priority. Right. So you have to take care of your home front before you take care of the community, even if you are in a village. You know, you take care of your family, you take care of your homestead, you take care of your hut before you think of the others. While you love everybody, you still want to work within the umbrella of your own nation. So that is what is causing it. But when you talk about implementation, it has been a very up and down situation, because even within that period we had two major wars, like the one in Liberia and the one in Sierra Leone, and they were bloodbaths, they were sanguinary, and they talked at the strain of community. But we've also had recently the issue of insecurity, and part of the problem is because everybody wants to secure their own borders, and inter-community, international within the ambit of ECOWAS cooperation has also become problematic. Like we are talking about the surge or resurgence of Boko Haram in Borno area, and it is also because of the strain between countries, because you need intelligence to know that these people are coming back and things like that. But in the final analysis, it's always good to be together than to be away. But as the Bible says, can two work together except they agree?
That's the big question, Ibrahim.
Yeah. So what Uncle Sam said actually, brought me down the memory lane, because if you look at what happened, back in the day before we even have ECOWAS in 1884, when you had King Leopold of Belgium leading the Portuguese, the German, the Belgians, the British coming together like, okay, this is Africa, we need to go exploit rather than fighting ourselves. Let's just partition the borders and put them into different ways so we can have our own, spoils. At the end of the day, we inherited colonial borders, and then we have the ECOWAS region, coming together. And then at the time, I remember Kwame Nkrumah, Julius Nyerere, and that Haile Selassie of Ethiopia, saying that, okay, let's just see how we can work with ourselves because of these ethnic conflicts that we're having. So in 1964, they all agreed on one thing, based on the meeting convened by Al-Jamal al-Nasri of Egypt at the time, that, okay, let us see what we can do so that we don't have these ethnic conflicts, we don't have this violence, we don't have, we don't have to be fighting ourselves. They now agreed on the doctrine of inviolability of inherited borders. So, but the thing is, the president talked about unity, but is that unity there as we speak? Because there is still much ethnic conflict, there's still these border conflicts and all of that. So there's so much to be done within the ECOWAS region so that we'll think of one currency, think of one thing that would unite us together.
The matter of one currency has been on the front burner regarding ECOWAS. The ECO, I think that was what we called it at the time. Yes, but adoption has been a challenge, agreement on, okay, how do we run with this currency, under which country? There was just this disagreement as regards how we can have that unified currency at the end of the day. But whichever way we want to go, unity is important, democracy is important, but it must be said that implementation is critical to whatever works for each country as it stands. But we'll quickly take a break.